Well, it's time now for business, and Sharon Gaffney joins me now on set. Sharon, you're starting with more bad news for the car industry, this time here in France.
Yes, and it's a problem that's affecting manufacturers right around the world. A crippling shortage in semiconductors. It's forcing French carmaker Renault to cut production of its vehicles by 500,000 this year. The chips are used in everything from brake sensors to power steering to a car's entertainment system. The shortage is also pushing up prices for consumers. Here's Vedika Bahel with the details.
It's a loss of 500,000 cars. French automobile giant Renault said Friday that they'd be cutting their output by 500,000 vehicles, more than double of what they previously predicted a month ago. The automobile industry worldwide has been struggling with semiconductor shortages, an essential component and the scarcity of which is causing car makers to drive up vehicle prices. This Renault factory in Saint-Duville has halted production for 2 weeks. And this site in the east of France has also come to a standstill.
It's been a week now and it's frustrating. It's tough for employee morale knowing we can't manufacture as we don't have the parts.
The site makes commercial vehicles, but for the last 5 days, 2,000 employees have been furloughed.
First COVID, now these component shortages. It's not been easy.
The resurgence of the pandemic in Asia, where the semiconductors are produced, is what's causing the shortfall. For some unions, relocating its production to France could solve Renault's problem.
We have certain proposals. We have a meeting lined up for next week to suggest a new project, to reintroduce the manufacturing of semiconductors in France. And we suggest it's made close to our factories so we can fix our supply chain.
Renault recorded a 20% loss in sales in its third quarter, and its revenue dropped to just under 9 billion euros, 13% lower from the same period a year ago.
NATO is sharpening its technology edge. The alliance is setting up its first ever innovation fund. It's expected to lead to 1 billion euros being invested in what it calls emerging and disruptive technologies. The fund is aimed at helping to finance new startups. The announcement followed a meeting of NATO defence ministers in Brussels. Let's hear now from the alliance's Secretary General.
I hope to strengthen our cooperation in other areas such as military mobility, resilience, emerging and disruptive technologies, and the security impact of climate change.
Russia's central bank has raised its key interest rate for the 6th time this year in an effort to tame inflation as the economy emerges from the pandemic. It's been hiked by 75 basis points to 7.5%. With inflation at its highest level since early 2016, the central bank also indicated that further rate rises were possible. On the back of the move, the Russian ruble has strengthened to below 70 to the dollar for the first time since June last year. Shares in the heavily indebted Chinese property giant Evergrande have received a boost after the firm repaid a missed interest payment on a dollar bond. It came just days ahead of a deadline that would have forced the group into a formal default. It's facing more than 250 million euros in liabilities and has missed 4 other offshore interest payments in recent weeks. Some experts are urging investors to remain cautious, warning that Evergrande's rebound is likely to be limited.
For these most indebted Chinese property developer, it's not easy for them to repay every single coupon for their bond. Bond investors. So, in my point of view, I would suggest investors simply just avoid Evergrande, and most of those Chinese property developers already hit the 3 red lines.
Let's check in now on the day's trading action. In US markets, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq closed lower on Friday as disappointing quarterly reports from Snap and Intel dragged down the communications and technology sectors. The Dow Jones, meanwhile, was up slightly. Cinemas have reopened in the Indian city of Mumbai after being closed for the last year and a half due to the pandemic. One of the last public places to drop restrictions, it's a hugely symbolic move. The country's financial capital is famous for its Bollywood film industry, producing more than 2,000 movies each year. The sector is worth more than 2.5 billion euros to the Indian economy. Restrictions have hit the sector hard, but experts expect a rebound in the coming months. Finally, for now, streaming sensation Squid Game is providing an unexpected boost to the garment industry in South Korea. Manufacturers there say they're seeing a surge in demand for green tracksuits and pink jumpsuits, as worn by the characters in the Netflix hit. With Halloween creeping up, one factory received 6,000 new orders from all around the world over 2 days this week. Consumers are expected to shell out a record 9 billion euros on Halloween-related goods this year.
Okay, Sharon Gaffney there with the business. Thank you very much. We're taking a quick break. There's more news up next. Stay tuned.